right, I want to welcome everybody to the special meeting on Friday night, March 28th. The special meeting was legally asked for by Trustee Gunther and Stewart to discuss turning over account documents to the board, which, by the way, they were all given on Wednesday. There is no other business on the agenda, and ladies and gentlemen, this is an absolute political stunt with just 3 days to go until the election. I feel that the public is sick and tired of this kind of politics, but when two trustees ask for a meeting, their request is granted. We'll begin with public comment so everybody understands. Okay, roll call. Yeah.
Trustee Sewell.
I'm here.
Stewart.
Here.
Ball. Yes. Gunther.
Here.
Supervisor Cox.
Here. And so everybody understands you got 5 minutes per the bylaws. And just want to say we got a large crowd here tonight. Glad we got a parking lot now that you all can park. And we also have the police here. Let's hear it for Collinsville's finest. Thank you guys. All right. Roll call, or I'm sorry, public comment.
Sorry, I'm Mark Achenbach, I live in Maryville. First, I'd say I'm sorry we're here tonight. I think Collinsville Township is unarguably the most improved unit of local government in the area. In the last 4 years, this board has remodeled this building, put in new ACs in this building, got the Volkswagen bus. What else am I leaving out? Yeah, redid the bathroom thing. I call that one the remodeling. And yeah, the parking lot, one of the biggest thing out there. So I think everybody on the board voted for all those things. So that's a nice success for all of you. I think you should all be congratulated. Again, I don't think anyone can argue Collinsville Township is the most improved, I won't say the best, I'll say most improved unit of government here locally. So with that, I think it's probably important to say that you already alluded to it, Derek, but this is a special meeting for those of you who have been in government, local government before. Special meetings are called for a specific purpose, and nothing can be discussed other than the public comments. We can say whatever we want, as long as we don't get rude and obnoxious. But for the board, they're limited in their discussions to what's specifically called on in this ballot, or on the agenda. So I hope for the board, I hope you follow the rules. I hope for the attorney keeps everybody in line. They stay within the guidelines of what the special meeting is called for. I can look at this and say, this is a trip, and if a failure to release records for this senior center trip account, as far as I understand, the trip that's in question happened like 6 months ago. I guess I'm just gonna scratch my head and say we're 3.5 days from the election for a trip that happened 6 months ago. And it seems kind of strange. I'll just say it leads me to question your motives. So I won't accuse anybody of anything, but it seems strange that this hasn't been festering for 6 months, that all of a sudden it came up. So as for the meeting itself, I hope for the board members, doesn't have anything to do with the audience, that as you look at this stuff, you consider the facts, only the facts, not your perceptions, not hearsay, and you judge specifically on what this says on this account, on this agenda. Discuss failure to release records for FCB senior trip account. So either it happened or it didn't happen. That's pretty straightforward. It doesn't say anything else about this in here. So I hope you stay focused on that. And I guess finally I'll just say, I wish you all the best in this. I'm not going to question anybody's judgment. You all have to use your best judgment. You're elected officials. And regardless of the outcome of whatever you do tonight, when the election happens on Tuesday, this board is essentially going to be the same with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. That's it. So whatever you do tonight, whatever damage you do, you're going to have to deal with it for the next 4 years. And I would hope you would all could be adults and realize you have to work together. And I think everybody in this board could clearly work on their interpersonal relationships and their communications. Way too much gotcha going on. So that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I love this. This is great. I remember when Derek first started out in politics, we met in Mr. Allen's office. That's how many people showed up. Met in the office, okay? This is government. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is civics. I taught civics for 20 years. This is the way government is supposed to be, where the people come out and air their grievances, okay? And people say, well, we didn't know about it. We didn't know about it because you don't show up. Okay, this is the way it is supposed to be. And people say, well, it's just a Collinsville Township election. What's the big deal? The big deal is, if it gets by here, then it goes on to state elections. You elect somebody in this election, and is somebody that has a part-time job for 47 years, and nobody knew about it. Why? Because nobody showed up. Nobody ran against them. Okay? You have meetings all the time, and people complain because I heard somebody say behind me, well, we didn't know about it. Well, you didn't know about it because you didn't show up. Rules are passed, and you're supposed to come to government meetings, civics. That's all it's all about. And when you don't come to these meetings and you don't get involved in government, you can't bitch and complain because something's happening that you don't like. When they pass bylaws and stuff that you didn't know anything about, you didn't say anything about it. You weren't here. But this is great. This is government. This is the way it's supposed to be. And like I said, when Derek first started, you could fit the people in Mr. Allen's office. That's how many people cared about government. And now look what we got. Well, that's good. Maybe Collinsville would be an example to the rest of the communities that maybe should get involved in government a little bit. Okay? Now, the statement I have to make, because I'm going to get involved, and my wife says, well, don't say this, don't say that. Well, I'm going to say it, because I'm going to get involved.
You got 3 minutes.
And what I believe, first, I want to thank whoever came up with a special meeting. This gives citizens a chance to question Matt Gunther's grandstanding tactics. I don't hear very well what is being said, and I tend to tune out people I don't respect. So my wife made me listen to what Matt said last meeting. Matt stated that Carol at Woodland Apartments told him and gave him a letter about things that were taking place at Woodland's Apartments: sexual abuse, maintenance issues, building issues, verbal abuse, mold everywhere, and sewer backup. Mind you, none of this has to do with township. One thing I do know is on Matt. At the beginning of a school year, Unit 10 employees are given a pamphlet concerning corporal punishment, physical abuse, sexual abuse. If teachers, coaches, janitors, or anyone suspects or has knowledge of any of the above, are required by law to report knowledge or suspicion to the proper authorities. This law applies to seniors also. I would assume proper authorities would be law enforcement. But grandstanding Gunther thinks proper authorities are at the township meetings. Did you turn over the information to law enforcement? If not, you may be in violation of state law 320 ILCS 20-1.
1 minute.
But at the very least, if you're not in violation of law and you didn't turn over your information to authorities, it looks like you don't care at all about seniors by not acting. Some people on the township are only looking for 15 minutes of fame. I'm sorry Chuck's not here. Chuck, you've been a friend of mine for a while, for a long time. And it's a shame that you got involved with unscrupulous people. I'll give them a definition. They know who they are. People with no moral principle, people who aren't honest or fair. Chuck, they hurt you. These people hurt you. They are out of bullets now, and Derek has plenty left. They're called votes. So get out and vote for Derek, Brad, Chuck Markovich, and Margot.
All right, thank you. We'll let Rich, this man here, go ahead. Yeah.
He's on the way.
Yeah.
Hi. Good evening, folks. I went on the trip that you're going to be discussing tonight. My wife and I went. We paid $800 apiece at $1,600 for those in Rio Linda. And also, we paid a $20 fee for incidentals. Incidentals being who knows what on a trip like that. But I want to tell you, on our bus, there was nothing but laughter, games, and fun. There was nothing wasted. All of our hotels were top-notch, top-notch. And we walked in and the hotel people were waiting for us. They were kind. They get us to our rooms. Anything that we needed, all we had to do was contact Gabby or contact Derek, and it was taken care of. We were well taken care of. I believe that we represented the township well, even though we had to go through a hurricane to do it. We did represent it well, and we were treated well, and our money we felt was well worth spent. $1,600 is a lot of money when you're retired, but I want to tell you, it was well spent, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time. And I thank Derek at the time, and I'll thank him again, and Gabby when I see her again, for a good trip, and hopefully we can do it again, but no hurricanes, please. The one was enough. And one other thing I want to say is I've been reading about censure, and if I could, the state of Illinois doesn't have laws that actually speak to this, nor does Robert's Rules of Order. So I would just encourage you to be very careful as you step through this, because there is no Illinois statute. In fact, I can read the whole article to you if you'd like, but it ends by saying, in short, we can certainly have political overtones, but censure has very little to do unless it's for a political impact in the state of Illinois. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Margot Ann Crowell, and I live here at 1279 Vandalia. On behalf of many in the public, we are increasingly frustrated by the obvious political maneuvers taking place. The hypocrisy from an elected official has reached an unprecedented level. Trustee Gunther recently stated on social media to the public that the senior center director should not have been allowed to attend the Savannah trip because she is funded by taxpayers. Seriously, first of all, Matt, you arranged a trip with Woodland Towers and allowed the assistant director to attend as you took people to dinner and used funds. Is it only acceptable when it benefits your associates or those that you deem that's more important in this community? Let's not forget, Matt, that you and all the trustees approved the town's payroll for this trip to Savannah. You were aware of this trip well in advance. How long ago had this trip been planned? Yet just weeks before election, you create a spectacle of nonsense. The senior center was fully staffed and operational during this trip. It remained open for the duration of the trip. 80 seniors enjoyed an outing with the care of our director, and the seniors on this trip paid for everything using their own personal money. Ashley, I must admit you had me fooled. I believe that you were genuinely concerned about helping this community. However, your recent actions have made it clear to everyone that your only goal is to dismantle the progress that's been made in this township for over 4 years. Which leads me to this. In 4 years, you attended just one meeting regarding our unhoused neighbors with the city. It was established at a township meeting at the senior center was not suitable for such purposes. Instead of seeking alternatives, you pushed this agenda and you misled the public by claiming the grant for a generator was tied to the homeless shelter. To use this is a homeless shelter. Your approach has only served to divide the community, and when you face disagreement with prevailing views, you play a victim. As if you're being unfairly targeted, you've taken your battles to social media with multiple videos, and once again, you could have looked for an alternative, but instead you have chose to divide this community. I have reviewed all the meeting minutes, by the way, and they are available on the Collinsville Township official website. They were provided to me by the township's FOIA officer, Mr. Achenbach. Other than noting that Matt Gunther had missed the most meetings out of all the trustees while still collecting a paycheck, neither of you, Matt or Ashley, have been credited with any accomplishments during your tenures. Your most significant achievement seems to be tarnishing this township's reputation with a political stunt 3 days before an election. The silver lining is that at least one of you will soon be leaving. Best regards, Ashley. Your efforts as a professional campaign manager have really shined in creating division during this election. I have confidence that Supervisor Cox can rebuild and restore unity within our community, which we desperately need. He has successfully done this before. If we are blessed with Supervisor Cox for 4 more years, and if I am elected to serve as a Collinsville Township trustee, it will be my privilege to serve with you, Mr. Cox.
My name is Ben Jarrett. I live at 131 Roger Drive, Collinsville, Illinois. The first speaker spoke about some of the progress that we've made here, but he didn't say anything about our game room. And if the board would be in here, they would see that we're having games and the seniors are having a good time laughing. Nothing was said about the solar system up on top. Was mentioned about the bathroom because I brought it up. We got the kitchen straightened out. And I have never heard of all the meetings I've been, nobody's ever said, "Oh, Derek, good job." Nobody. And probably not even me. So I want it in the records that Ben Jarrett is saying, "Thank you, Derek. You're a good man." And all this political crap, I'm fed up with it. And you guys are going to keep it up, and the voters are going to vote next year, and maybe there'll be different members. I don't know. I can't predict the future. But I think this is enough of all this crap. And thank you.
Anybody else? Going once? Okay.
My name is Pat Mottershead. I live at 1503 Fletcher Street, and I walk up here, it's about 1.5 miles, and I've been coming up here for yoga, exercise classes, lunches, play bridge here. The thing that's impressed me the most about Derek, this man truly loves us old people. It is so obvious. And I was on the trip to Savannah, and it was absolutely wonderful. One of the nicest trips I've ever taken. Even the hurricane didn't spoil it. It was beautiful, and I thought it was very economical. For all we got, it was fabulous. So I just want to thank Derek. I think he's done an amazing job here. I mean, this place, I never started coming until, 3 or 4 years ago. And I've just seen it bloom with your leadership the whole time. So I say, keep Derek.
My name is Carla Buchanan. You guys recognize me. I come to almost every meeting. I'd like to start by saying I kind of regret supporting you, Matt, in the last election. I truly don't know what happened, and I'm sorry to anyone if I offended you by stating my belief that board members should not be paid if not present at meetings. However, I still firmly believe this. I've been coming to meetings for almost 8 years. Our current supervisor has never missed a single meeting, even when he knows or expects to endure false accusations and attacks on his performance as supervisor. To insinuate locking someone out of an office bathroom could be interpreted as sexual harassment is ridiculous. If this is not illegal, it should be. Then you accuse him of theft and turn him into law enforcement without a shred of evidence. After all Derek does for the community, to publicly accuse him of theft without asking for as much as a single receipt is unprofessional. After going to the official auditor to review the file, he was cleared, and instead of swallowing your pride, offering an apology, you now call this special meeting just 4 days before the election in a last attempt to discredit his character. Thinking back how unprofessional the prior township board was, and I went to many of them, I don't even think they ever stooped this low. I'd like to close by saying it's really sad how many people will vote based on a personal feeling about a candidate, and that goes for any candidate, whether it's good or whether it's bad. Instead, you should be voting on performance. That's all I got to say.
My name is Babette. I just have a couple things. I'm glad Andy's here because there was some stuff on social media. And actually you stated this, that this affects everyone. And when you make attacks towards Derek or Ashley or Matt or Chuck, whomever, it affects their family. And when you directly mention us, it affects our family too. And you stated, and I have your posting because it was sent to me by multiple people, how Derek's dad and stepmom stood up here and begged the board to give Derek a raise. That's 100% false. If anything, Don stood up here and said, fire him. He's not doing his job, fire him. Don't give him any money. I have never in my life ever commented on anybody's pay. I have never stood at one meeting and said, give Derek a raise, never. So when you make statements like this, it affects our life too. And when you make sexual harassment statements, which you did, and I have that here too, we sat at that table at the last meeting, and Derek said, as the only guy in the room, in the building, I have to protect myself. And you ladies, and there's people here that heard it, oh, I thought he was a girl. That's sexual harassment, and that's a lawsuit. Yes, and there's people here that heard it. We all heard it at the last meeting. I turned around. Oh, I'm not. I'm reading. I'm reading the.
All right, hey.
Well, you're
All
addressing
right, I got off track. Yeah, just address this.
Yeah, so we're just addressing things that were said at the meeting and sexual harassment, and that is sexual harassment when people make any statement about somebody's sexuality. No matter what, it's not okay. And that does affect us. And actually, you did state that, and I agree, and I even commented, it does affect all of our lives. It affects our character, and as far as me also, you stated on there a potential conflict. You were on the board when you guys hired the attorney. I was not part of that. I didn't even know that we were representing the township. If you had an issue with it 4 years ago, you could have brought it up. Why it was brought up on your post just recently, and this was sent to me by multiple attorneys saying, oh my gosh, Beba, did you see this? It's like, yeah, we saw it. It's our character you're affecting. And it affects Derek's character as well, not just fun times on Facebook. Something I don't understand, it's none of my business, if Matt's name is on the accounts at the bank, and Matt's the one that brought it up, that he spoke to FCB. I hope your name is on the accounts, because nobody should be talking to anybody about an account. And maybe I don't understand this from a business standpoint, but if my name's not on the account for Collinsville Township, how can FCB talk to me or discuss anything about the financials of this facility? So that was just something I didn't understand. And like I said, maybe it's not for me to know, but anyway, I guess that's it. And I do, like I do say that the words you say on Facebook, it affects all of us. And I noticed that when there was personal attacks made upon Derek's opponent, you stated that how mean that was, and they shouldn't have posted his personal background. And you did state, and I said it on Facebook, I replied to you and said, you said, do a background check, do a personal background check, do a criminal background check. Well, when they posted that mugshot of Derek, you liked it. You never said, hey, stop this isn't right. This is mean for his family. I just think it needs to be both sides. If you're gonna support one as far as personal attacks, it would be nice if you did it for Derek as well. Because I think, personally, from a work standpoint, Derek gives this place his heart. I mean, he misses family functions, he misses his just different things because he devotes his life to this place. And I think that's a good character. And I would want somebody like that working for me, and I hope you're still around when I become more of a senior.
All right, anybody else? Yeah.
My name is Rich O'Donnell. I wasn't prepared to come up here and speak, but some of the stuff I've heard I think is outrageous. I mean, some of the stuff I've heard I think is outrageous. I've heard accusations that there's been accusations of theft. I've been following this pretty closely. There's been questions about accounts, not accusations about theft. I've heard people say that this is in the last 3 days. This isn't in the last 3 days. These FOIA requests came in months and months and months ago. The trustee's job is to oversee and check the accounts. So the last lady who says if your name's not on it, you don't, you know, that's what the board of trustees' job is. Derek Cox has been adversarial since he got on the board 8 years ago. I came to a lot of meetings 4 years ago, 3 years, 5 years ago, because I was concerned about what Derek Cox was starting with the board of trustees at the time. It's been drama since he showed up on the scene. And I think it'll just continue to be drama until he's gone. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else? Once, twice.
Hello, I have yet to address the board. I'm Jeffrey Menendez, Maryville resident. I did not prepare anything to speak, but after hearing some of the things that people have been talking about and observing how the board is paying attention to that. I want to say that people aren't even looking up and paying attention to what the community is saying. And these are our elected officials that we voted into office. You guys work for us. We voted you into office to provide a service for the township and to stick with your trustee duties. And I remember whenever we brought up how Derek had approved the bills for the stamps, you guys also approved the bills for the senior center and his trips months and months ago. Why are we bringing it up now, all these discrepancies, when we've had months to overview the counts, to bring up questions, things that could have been handled behind closed doors, which was something that you guys addressed before because you didn't like whenever Derek brought it up at meetings. You could have addressed these things beforehand, out of the public view, and handled it the way that we voted you to handle things. Professionally, respectfully, and with dignity and integrity. And I am not seeing all of those things with the board today. Like, some of you are laughing at public comments. Some of you are making eyes at each other across the table. You guys are elected officials. You are the ones who represent us as a community. And I'm speaking for myself, and I'm sure there's people that agree that we don't stand for that kind of behavior coming from elected officials. Whenever you try to cast somebody out and say that they could do something a better way, and then months later you guys turn around and do the same thing to him, I think we were all taught that two rights don't make a wrong. And if you're gonna propose a better way to do something, and later on down the line, do exactly what you said was wrong with that first way, there's really some ignorance going on here. And I think people should keep all of that in mind when they're placing their votes this election season. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Ball. I'm resident of Collinsville, Trustee Ball's wife. First off, I'd like to say, if you look at tonight's meeting notice, on the agenda, discussion regarding the failure to release records. Tonight isn't about accomplishments of the township. It is purposefully for the discussion regarding failure to release documents. Nobody's negating all that Derek has done for the township. We agree that he's done a wonderful job with the senior center. And I want to remind people that tonight is just looking at transparency in those documents and what was failed to be released to these trustees. The trustees are getting a lot of heat for not reviewing records, and how can they review them when they weren't given to them? I believe the board will show tonight that they attempted to do this offline, out, not in the public eye. They did attempt through township email, and were in the advice of their attorney, township attorney. He did advise that Derek hand these over offline. It didn't happen. Again, all provable through township email, and that will be brought light tonight. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once, twice? Sold, all right. So, like Catherine just said, there is only one item on the agenda. And like Mark said in the beginning of the meeting, that is the only item on the special meeting that we will be discussing. And we'll make sure that we stay on the item of discussion regarding the failure to release records for the FCB Senior Center trip account. So what I would like to do, because I feel if I'm the one showing emails and this and that, then people will say, well, he's lying. He's okay. So I would like, I'm going to turn everything over to our attorney. And it was mentioned during public comment that yes, the first FOIA for things coming from Mr. Gunther came on, I believe it was February the 3rd. If you can start with that for you and go all the way through on about these documents. No,
Can I
No.
ask something?
we're sticking on this here,
This
right
is
here.
law, is what I'm asking about.
Oh,
Can you preface this conversation by explaining to everyone what the law is regarding FOIAs? The trustees, let me see, I have some.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
I'm sorry, we only have two it's
FOIA response timing as it relates to the law, requirements to comply as it relates to the law, redacting information as it relates to the law, and then on a separate about censure.
Sure. The FOIA law generally, any public body in the state of Illinois, members of the public can request documents that are public documents. Essentially, public bodies, most documents that they have are public by nature. Generally, the time to comply with a FOIA request is 5 business days. The business days count from the day after the request is received. You get 5 days to respond. There are some scenarios in which case you can ask for extensions that can either be agreed upon, and then there are certain scenarios in which you can get more time. As far as exceptions, I think you asked for exceptions for responses to FOIAs.
Requirements to comply and redacting information.
So redacting information, usually it replies or deals with personally identifiable information, social security numbers, date of birth, that type of thing. Generally, most other information, unless there are certain exceptions too, when you're dealing with things with minors or if police records, if they're dealing with sexual assaults or things like that, or there's an ongoing investigation, there's all sorts of different categories of things like that. But for the most part, only a handful of things can be redacted, and the rest of the things are supposed to be turned over.
How does that FOIA law apply or relate to a trustee's position?
I would say that it doesn't necessarily relate. A trustee is a member of the public, so they would fall under the same as anybody else requesting something. If you're asking in terms of a trustee getting documents.
Could you speak a little louder?
Sure, yeah, it's a little awkward trying to.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I can maybe turn my chair.
Or stand up?
I've got this little stand here. Essentially, trustees, there are certain documents that they're entitled to as being a trustee.
Without a
of
FOIA
board.
request, correct?
Correct. And like I said, there are things that as members of the public, they can FOIA. But yeah, there are certain items that fall under a trustee's review as a member of the
Are there
board.
any restrictions to trustees other than PII information? And even then, we would have access to that, I believe, we just couldn't distribute.
All right, and this is the last one, because we got to stick to this agenda, all right?
Totally relevant.
Now, listen, discussion regarding the failure to release records at the SCB
Around
signature.
FOIA.
Listen, go ahead.
Are there any restrictions that we said?
Right.
Not that I can.
So a trustee should be able to view, access any piece of public information that has to do with the township at any point in time as reasonably customary, right? I mean, we're not gonna go at 3 a.m. and try to look for something, but
I would say generally, yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
That's all my question.
Sure. So like the supervisor said, he this afternoon dropped off some emails as it relates to a lot of these FOIA requests and sort of how it ties into this senior account. With the idea being that he wanted me to review some of these I hadn't seen before. Actually, a lot of this I hadn't seen. There were certain things that later on that I was sent or CC'd or what have you. But essentially, beginning with the initial February 3rd FOIA request from Trustee Gunther, essentially he wanted me to review and go through sort of the timeline so it's clear to everyone what it is we're talking about. And review them to see if there were any requests for receipts related to the FCB senior trip account. The initial February 3rd request from trustee Gunther, as I look at it, I'm not gonna go through it because it largely deals with personnel questions and things like that that aren't relevant to, and it looks like that was complied with on February 12th. I switched now.
Except for there were pieces missing here, so.
What? Oh, that one's louder. That may have been, I just have.
So we don't have an accounting of what was asked for versus what was provided.
Listen, this is a meeting about the trip account. It says it right here.
I am
FCB
asking
senior
a
trip.
question related to the trip account.
We have to stay, okay, go ahead.
Hold on. What I was gonna say is what I have, I have a response that was given with that, because it didn't deal specifically with the issue of the senior account. That February 3rd one, I looked at it and said, okay, this doesn't have anything to do with the receipts, like, I was asked to review for this evening. So I went and looked for the next FOIA request that dealt with the banking records.
Did you speak to the FOIA officers in relationship to the receipts? The request for receipts?
Did I speak to the FOIA officer?
In relation to a request for receipts by me, the trustee. There were 2 FOIA officers involved, Tara and Jim. Did you ask them?
This February 3rd one did not deal with any receipts. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that FOIA request, I'm basically saying that one is irrelevant for our purposes tonight and moving on.
Okay.
The next, it looks like there was a February 10th one, and this is the one that dealt with banking information. And by the way, this is what I was given. If there's information that's missing or anything here, you know, this is what I was given to review. So
I turned over my emails.
So it was an email sent to Jim. Please let this serve as my official FOIA request for following details related to the Collinsville Township banking information surrounding account details and activity on the 21 accounts used for Collinsville Township business. And it asks for the number of township banking accounts by name, account type, and their intended purpose, amount of cash on hand, list of transfers from and to each account, list of transactions, and for both those, you want them for the entirety of the board's tenure.
That was the original request, yes.
Yes. It looks.
Can you repeat the date of that?
February 10th.
And was there any ask for receipts on that trip account?
There is no specific ask for receipts as it relates to the trip account. It's a broad request relating to all bank accounts and asking for transfers and transactions.
Okay, so no request for receipts. Okay.
It looks like, so some of these aren't responsive to the, it looks like Jim replied to you and provided some of the information.
Can we go back to the beginning where, when these FOIAs were originally received, the supervisor sent an email asking how he could deny them? I have that email here, in case you don't. I mean, you were in receipt of it, Bill. It was you and Derek and Jim that were on the email.
From who?
From Derek.
Is that the one where I'm trying to remember. It's not in here.
How it's burdensome and you instruct him how to proceed.
And I said that as a trustee, you're entitled to the information anyway, even if the FOIA was burdensome. Okay.
And just to clear that up, I went, all of it's in there, we can read the whole thing. I went to, I was instructed to go to FCB Bank to try to get all this stuff. Jim, okay?
I never requested that.
Okay, well, how was I gonna get all this stuff?
It's in the office, how I get it.
It's in the office.
I got it.
Not every transaction.
It would be burdensome.
Not every transaction, there's an email in there that says it's overly burdensome, we know this. I went to FCB to see if they could help me because, again, a lot of people don't understand, there are daily transactions of things. My point is, they gave me an estimate of $1,400 to produce all these documents. That was the next day. I gave that to Jim. Jim got the document, I don't know if it got to you, but again, what we're questioning, is the FCB Senior Center trip account. Still, we have not a single piece in there asking for any receipts, and at this point, we're not even talking about the Senior Center trip account, correct? It's not even mentioned.
No, it wasn't on the list.
It's not on the list.
It wasn't on the list.
It wasn't on the list of the
Correct.
original FOIA.
Correct.
Never
Correct.
included.
Okay,
Correct.
so just so
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Nobody knew about it.
No.
Correct.
So just, maybe it's easier if we just sort of slide through. At some point, the request becomes narrowed with the things that you're looking for, rather than.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The office was wonderful and it
Right,
gave
and
me what I
the reason I bring this up, though, is unfortunately, like the gentleman stated up there, this was from February the 3rd. They've been asking for receipts from February the 3rd. That is not accurate, what was put on Facebook. I was not asked for any receipts from February 3rd, February the 10th, the first time, and we'll see it, the first time I was ever asked for a single receipt, this is after being turned into law enforcement, is last Friday by Trustee Ball. Okay, that was the first time, so go ahead.
So at some point, the request is narrowed, and it looks like I'm looking at a March 3rd email, thanking them for providing the information that they've already provided at that point, indicating that you met with Don on getting some of the information. These are the open items I still need your help in securing. Confirmation listing all bank accounts, certificates of deposit, et cetera, that are used to manage any any of township business. I have the list that you provided initially, but I'm of the understanding that list is incomplete by my statement above regarding CB&L. Request confirmation of all trip-related expenses for trips managed by the Collinsville Senior Center. Which accounts do I look at for those details? It is not obvious to me by the list provided where those revenues and costs are managed. Request confirmation on who maintains signature authority on all accounts. A simple response of confirmed signature authority is the primary backup list on all accounts, monetary assets, along with any business rules from the bank or financial institution governing these accounts. Thanks again for your help. I plan to be in the township office this afternoon to continue my audit. That's more or less what that one is. There looks like there was a response, but it has attachments that I can't. The attachments aren't
I
here.
have the attachment.
Yeah,
Okay.
what do the attachments say?
It's
the
list of accounts, signature card redacted,
CB&L
account
and
summary.
Signature card redacted.
And how many days later was that?
That was later that afternoon, it looks like.
Okay, I got that later that afternoon.
Here's what I think you were asking for as far as the trips. Most come out of the senior center building fund, then any more.
Read that again, please.
Most come out of the senior center building fund, then any money spent as far as bulk ticket purchases, et cetera, are reimbursed to that fund.
So it is township dollars that are being used according to that.
So I don't know for certain. I think there may have been the request related, you referenced trips managed from the Collinsville Senior Center. Maybe it was unclear. Trips, meaning Volkswagen trips.
Volkswagen trips. That
I don't
comes
know.
out of the building fund.
I don't know.
That's
I
what,
don't either, that's why I asked.
that's what I asked.
And then this looks like on March 4th, looks like we're in FCB account 6307 is specifically referenced. Good morning, Derek. Thank you very much for the quick response. I reviewed what you sent over in your attached from FCB and also reviewed the available account details and statements in the office. I noticed that there is no accounting available for FCB 6307.
I've got no accounting, right? Including statements, receipts, accounting.
That's your twist?
No,
That's
that's
your
accounting.
twist.
That's what that says here. I cannot seem to locate any static documentation in any of the binders in Don's office. He did mention there are multiple accounts in a few of the binders, but I looked through them all and couldn't locate anything for 6307. In addition, the 6307 does not appear on our list of accounts on the FCB banking portal page that's used by the office to print statements. 6307 also does not appear in the list of accounts or in a search of accounts. Can you help me with those statements for this account for the past 6 months to keep in the same data set as for the others? And then that's basically what you say, to keep it off from anything from August 2024 would suffice.
And it said bank statements, correct?
Statement of account.
No.
It says, just to confirm, I'm looking for the following information for this request: copies of FCB statement of account on FCB 6307 trip fund,
Did
6
you
months.
speak to the FOIA officers as it relates to requests for receipts? Did either of you?
Did Jim?
With all of this going on,
Correct.
did you speak to Jim about a request for any receipts?
I was never told that I was asked for any receipts verbally or in emails, ever.
By neither FOIA officer?
Neither.
Okay.
Statements.
I have spoken with Jim
I came out of the
about
loop
receipts, but
basically starting about this time of the season.
I mean,
And that's
I
the-
came out of the loop.
And that's the problem, is because for folks to understand, Jim is the FOIA officer. If you're going to FOIA, it's always supposed to go to Jim. this is under a FOIA, then Jim, if he needs help, he asked me specifically for help. Jim told me, listen, I'm gonna see if I can work with Matt and get what he needs. So I was out of the loop for a long time until the 6307 came up. So he asked for bank statements, right there. He says bank statements for 6307. So I went to the bank and got the bank statement for 6307, which is the account that we're talking about. It is a separate bank account that was set up by me, perfectly legal, and it's to not intermingle a single penny of taxpayers' dollars for the folks that are going on this trip that pay for all of their expenses, including their gratuities, to go into this account. And the reason that I'm thinking that they didn't know about it is we vote on bills here. There are no bills in this account because it's y'all's thing. It's the Diamond Tour thing, and it's the senior center. It's a side trip. Many senior centers do this. And so that's what I was told to do. And
By whom?
what's that?
By whom?
Diamond Tours, that's what, and the auditor told me that's the proper way. I mean, I guess the only other way I could have possibly done it is put it under my name. I mean, which seems awkward, you know? So anyway, in our bylaws, because it's been out there, in our bylaws, it is out there that, because there's been a lot of stuff that I secretly opened this account and it shouldn't, you can't do it with just one signature. I've seen that all over the place. But in our bylaws, what does it say, Bill, on the signature?
It's what you just said, and that's in the township code too.
That you guys all passed, one signature. So everything that has been put out on Facebook for a month saying that I broke the law by only having one signature is false. And so.
And here, Bill, is some correspondence back and forth about requests.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, the
I got
last thing that
texted.
looks like I've got here are texts between the two of you, and it looks,
No, these are texts between me and the FOIA officer.
okay, between
you
you
and
and
Jim.
Derek.
You and Jim.
Well, hold on, this is what I've been given to review and asked to go over. To review if it mentions receipts, I'll just say it mentions statements a few times, it doesn't specifically ask for receipts. It sounds like you're not disputing that, so.
It's incomplete, right? Your review is incomplete, would you agree?
What I've been given to review
Okay.
does not mention receipts. The first mention of anything that I see with receipts, as what was alluded to earlier, is from an email from Trustee Ball last Friday.
Can you submit an expense report and expect to be paid without a receipt?
No?
So, yeah, so then when Trustee Ball emailed me, it was on a Friday, the end of the day, and I saw it on Monday, and I replied. And I was, just to be fully transparent, after the last meeting, I was told during the live meeting that I was turned into the state's attorney's office. And I don't know if that's an accusation of theft or not, but to me and to you guys, if somebody says that you did these checks to cash and you were turned into the state's attorney's office, to me, that's like, whoa. You know, I got all the receipts for these. This cash was for the tips and for the bus drivers, all that. I'm not gonna get into that. My point is that I did the only thing that I knew to do is go to our official auditor and review this. When I called the state's attorney's office, that's what they told me to do. And so I took everything there to the state's attorney's office. And if I'm under investigation, I'm not one, I wish they would ask me for receipts before I was turned in, but they didn't. And
So let me step in here, please,
yeah,
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, on March 17th, at your Q&A at Verona, approximately minute 7, you grab an envelope and express to everybody there and who's watching. You have all the receipts and documents for the trip, including everybody that went, and all we need to do is ask.
Correct.
So, in my mind, I thought at that point that you were gonna share the information with the board due to Matt and Ashley's, or Matt, I'm not sure exactly whose request it was, earlier request. Also because, at this point in time, several private citizens had now claimed that they had seen the receipts in the documentation.
Who?
Carla has claimed it. She's seen the receipts multiple times.
Well, I'm telling you,
So-
that if she said that, then she's never seen it.
Well,
So anyway.
so there were several people. I could have printed out the post.
Okay.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's fine.
I wasn't gonna mention
So anyway,
Carla by
but
name, but
my
anyway.
point is, I wish somebody would have asked me for the receipts. That's March 17th. Still, nothing.
So, yeah, well, I thought that you were gonna do the right thing and provide. So, furthermore, I was gonna ask Brad, did you happen to look at Derek's paperwork and receipts and everything at Verona that evening? 'Cause I
Trustee,
saw
you
you
can
were-
inspect them.
No, I did not.
No,
Okay.
because the auditor has already went through everything. This
Well, I
is
know,
our
but
official auditor.
I'm just saying that
Right.
you showed them,
Right.
said anybody could see them, all you gotta do is ask. So, I'm just
Sure.
asking, if anybody asked.
Well, I
was-
mean, I
was
said,
anybody shown?
I don't know if that's the quote.
I'm not quoting you,
Right,
I'm
okay, thank you.
paraphrasing.
Right, because I said, I wish somebody would ask for these receipts, meaning you guys, before you turn me in to the law.
Well, we can go to minute 7 and review the
But
actual
anyway,
quote.
okay, so, but still, nobody's
So-
asked.
So then, I wanna confirm, I just wanna confirm some
Yeah,
things too.
you're good.
Because we're getting to the
Yeah,
timeline
yeah.
here. So I waited until Friday thinking that, hey, it's just gonna resolve itself. And
That's
then,
the 21st, right?
Friday would be the 21st.
Yes.
Yeah, about 3
It's like
something.
3:45,
Yeah,
almost
I
4
mean,
o'clock.
It's
Right.
here. It's late Friday. Do acknowledge I sent that late Friday. And then I wait. So, I didn't get any
Monday.
acknowledgement of that particular email, so I sent another email Monday morning, and then, that's when further emails I'm sure we're gonna talk about here, proceeded between Derek and I. So, if you wanna continue
Yeah.
on.
And
on
so,
here,
just
so-
to make it simple.
Probably gonna go right down my list too.
But just to make it simple, now we're at March 24th, okay? March 21st is on a Friday afternoon. I missed your email. Before that, I have double-checked every single FOIA in writing that I have from Jim, from Matt, and we get about 5 FOIAs a day now, don't we?
24 so far this year.
24, okay, from your folks, okay? So, my point is, I'm not the FOIA officer, I've checked everything, I have turned over every single thing that was asked. When Clint
Have
asked,
you turned over all the receipts to the FOIA officer? Unredacted.
that I was asked for.
Have you turned over all receipts to the FOIA officer unredacted?
We'll get to that, okay, we'll get to that, okay? So, point is, the 24th.
My request was not FOIA.
Right,
Make
exactly.
that-
Clint's not a FOIA, and so that's fine too. So we're Monday, this week, Monday. We're all here on Friday night, so this is Monday. All right. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. I'll continue reading, I guess. This is a great time for me to have a nasty cold, by the way.
This is boring.
So Clint sends the email Friday afternoon, please share with the board in the subject line, receipts and audit report. He follows up Monday morning when there wasn't a response. Several private citizens claim to have seen this information. You have at least used the letter in your campaign materials. I do not need a FOIA for you to submit this information to the board for review. Please do so. It looks like Derek responded about an hour and a half later. So everyone can understand the facts, not assumptions. Matt's original FOIA asked for a lot. Jim requested my help and asked me to go to the bank. I did, and they gave me a $1,400 quote to get what he was asking for. I gave that to Jim. He then said he would work with Matt to see what he needed. This is the last I heard of this FOIA. Then the Thursday before our meeting, I was asked for a list of all of our accounts. I sent that. Then I was asked by Matt for the bank statement for 6307. I supplied that. Then the meeting, in a Perry Mason-like performance, we were told I had been turned into the state's attorney. After then, the 2 extremely biased articles in CDN, I needed to get the truth out, as it was obvious what had occurred. Very clever political trick, I will add. I got a hold of our auditor, Kevin Tapin, and asked if he would review the entire account and give us his opinion. He told me I would have to come to him as he was going on vacation Friday. I drove up to Alton on Thursday and Kevin reviewed the bank statements along with checks and matched them up with the receipts and refunds that many guests had paid in cash.
Did we get a list of requirements that were used by the auditors to validate those accounts? And
No.
what accounts they were validated against?
No.
Not that I've seen them. Most of these seniors pay deposits in cash. He wrote the review and it's attached. Then I received a phone call transferred from Lori in my office on Friday from Kevin. He was extremely frustrated as he said Trustee Gunther had called both of his offices and was extremely rude to the ladies working. He said his staff was really shaken up. Then I assumed that Gunther talked to Kevin while our auditor was on vacation, questioning him on his job. Kevin told me that he'd be sending something over after his vacation about this behavior. He told me if Gunther continues to treat his staff this way, he would no longer be doing the township audit. This is an article that came out today about this issue, and it's the first time I was able to tell my side of the story after being accused of theft. Then there's a link to a Times Tribune article, and the attachment is the letter from the auditor.
So I didn't say, I wasn't giving them, I was saying what had occurred. And I felt that after all of this, that's where I felt that, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do right now.
Okay. Then Clint responds back, share receipts and or bookkeeping records. Derek replies, Clint, it sure would have been nice for that opportunity before Gunther turned me into law enforcement. The official unbiased township county auditor did all the work already and gave his opinion. This case is now with law enforcement. I assume if Matt was telling the truth. There is no need for all the receipts for this private trip with private money with everything that has been done so far to hurt my character. You have the auditor statement, already says there is nothing wrong.
So I'd like to add,
Sure.
at that point in time,
And this is on Tuesday?
I was under, with that comment, there is no
Still
need
Monday.
for all the receipts.
Right.
Complete assumed you are not giving us the receipts for whatever reason. So, let's just make that clear too.
We're almost there. It's Friday, come on.
So this was still Monday.
Oh.
And then Clint replied back, if you provided the auditor, provide the board. He then sent a separate email and a thread with myself, Jim, and Derek. Derek, why are you denying to share with the board the receipts and bookkeeping records you used with the auditor? Private citizens claim to have seen them, so I assume you have shared with them. You have used the letter and campaign material I've asked multiple times now. What is your reasoning for not sharing? Derek responded on Tuesday morning, Clint, when the decision was made to turn me into law enforcement without asking for the receipts, at that point it was out of our hands. It was no longer in the trustee's purview. Then the authority would lie with our chief auditor. So I took him the complete file. You have that document from the person now in authority who reviewed all the documents and made a determination which exonerated in wrongdoing for the township. Additionally, there is no complaint from any seniors who went on the trip whose money funded that account. The only complaints are coming from you and Matt, who already turned it over to law enforcement. From Matt's seminar, you should be aware that things have to be done with proper protocol.
I got a question here.
Yeah.
Having a third-party auditor doesn't recuse the board from its obligations, correct?
Correct.
But that is our official auditor, and that's what I was told by the county, that's what they would do if they
I
actually got
disagree.
it. Right, and so, and the bottom part of that, I wanted to follow proper protocol, okay? So then at that
Who at the
point,
county did you get direction from?
I'm gonna leave that private, because I don't wanna expose them, okay? So,
Then Clint replied, Derek, I'm sorry you feel this way. My ask and actions have stood alone, have been done directly via email, not in the public arena that you use efficiently. If you truly wanted to put this to bed, as you declare on social media, you would share the documents provided to the auditor with the board for a review. Since you are refusing, further actions will be initiated by me. Then I'm not sure where things picked up next, because there were a few different email threads
Okay,
going
so-
on, but
yeah. There was a separate email that I was not privy to, that I'm not on, that took place with Jim, is it Clint or somebody? But my point is, when I went into our attorney's office about this, I asked, do I need to turn over these documents? And I was told,
Yes.
probably, yes, okay? But we wanted to make sure that all the redactions were correct. I don't know these rules. My point is this, and I'll just keep it simple. I have a staff. I have people, seniors that went on this trip that I care about. I don't need their personal information and their names or full names and address and stuff like that. My director told me, and she's sassy and sticks it, if you put that out there, I am done. And she's telling me, I did not do the redaction. She did the redaction. She did all the whiting out of the full names, okay? So that wasn't me. And so I'm just letting you know that's what was taking place. When I was doing that, I was going to send the documents.
Is that a redactable piece of information? By law, names?
Now I know that it's not.
No.
Yeah.
So I was looking through here to see what it looks like came next. It looks like the next thing here,
But that was on Tuesday.
This was not a name redacted, right? This whole bottom line was not a name redacted.
What is that?
Right.
I would think.
Yeah, what is that?
This is a signature card for the bank that was
That's
provided
a
to me.
that's a different account. What are you talking about?
So,
So it looks like,
It's
So-
redacted
so
information.
I want to
I
clarify
didn't
that,
send that to you.
quick
Hold on, guys.
clarification.
Yeah, you did.
Tuesday, Derek was advised that he was obligated to give us the documents, give us the board documents.
yeah, so I think what happened next, it looks like, just looking at the emails and everything here, I think that the next thing was the special open meeting request that came from Clint. It was sent to everybody Tuesday at 1:48 PM. I think Tuesday afternoon, I think it would have been after that.
So the initial meeting request came from a different trustee.
Yes.
Yes, it was, yeah. It says, I, Clint Ball, along with Ashley Stewart, do hereby request a Collinsville Township special board meeting. I believe it was after that, Derek came into our office,
That's what I mean.
talked to Bruce and I about all this.
When I came in, I did not know about the special meeting.
Yeah, I think I may have said, well, no, this was sent to everybody, but
No,
I
I'm
think,
saying is I didn't know. I'm not saying it wasn't sent.
yeah,
to
I was
me.
saying that,
I
did
didn't
you see
know.
the email?
Did you see the email? I go,
Yeah.
no, what is it? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm already preparing to send this stuff, getting the redactions. I'm already preparing it. This is Tuesday afternoon, right?
well, I think Tuesday afternoon, you came into our office and we discussed it and we said, yes, the trustees, because there were a couple different issues. At that point, I informed you that Jim had a FOIA that he had told me about
Right.
related to this information. And then there was Clint's request for this, and I told you that the trustees are entitled to this information.
And I was told by you and others that, of course, there's gonna have to be some redactions. That's kind of the overlay. Right. I don't know about these laws. I just know that I wanna protect the people that went on this trip, because it's not even taxpayers' money. So why in the world is their information, and I see it all the time with the bank accounts and things that I give you guys, all of a sudden, the next day it's on social media. And it's like, how fair would that be? The people in here and my staff and her address where she lives, okay? She bought this stuff and I reimbursed her because it was not township money. I reimbursed her. So that, I know how you all work. It would have been on social media with her address, and it's ridiculous. So I wanted to make sure that wasn't happening for my folks. So go ahead.
So by and large, that meeting was, you need to give the trustees this information, and Jim needs this information as well for the FOIA. And that was more or less where things
Okay.
were at on Tuesday
And just let me
afternoon.
back up, because in the initial request that you got, the initial email that you got to provide whatever details that I wanted, that I needed, because it was going to be inevitable that I would secure those at some point. We're still 30, 45 days into a FOIA, and mine hasn't even been filled.
What hasn't been filled on yours?
The receipts,
So-
when you're done,
Oh,
then I'll go ahead and provide my responses in communication with the FOIA officer
Okay.
about that related information.
That's fine, and Matt, the one thing I will say, I skipped over the email that you sent to Jim, myself, and Derek on March 8th, I believe.
Yep.
Saying that this was going to escalate, and I think that was the first time I was brought into that being an issue. I emailed you back and said, please send me anything you've got associated with this, because the email thread only shows so much, and I don't see any of the attachments or anything.
Yep. I was instructed otherwise.
That's fine, I'm saying, I never saw that at the meeting last time. You said, Bill, I've got a packet for you. I asked you after the meeting about it, and you said that I still gotta attach some other things to it, and I'm gonna get it to you. I still don't have it. This is what I've been given. So, so that's basically where things were
So,
Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, so then Wednesday morning, I know that we're gonna have a special meeting. I've got the receipts, I just have to put it all together. I gotta scan things and get them out of the email. I call up Jim, and I said, Jim, this is an obvious political thing. The community is so sick of it.
45 days and we're still
Hey.
preparing. We're still scanning.
I just got the request. We've already
You
established
had a
this.
packet at Verona.
Stop.
You had a
Stop.
packet at Verona.
Matt, the first time that I was requested, we already established this, was on Friday. Okay, I'm not gonna give their personal information out if I'm not requested. I already showed it to the auditor who agreed everything is fine. This isn't a, so point is, first time I was requested on Friday, I saw the email on Monday. I go back and forth with Clint on Monday and Tuesday. Then I'm getting the stuff ready to send to you guys. I talked to Jim, and Jim says, I don't want to have this meeting either. This is stupid. This is a political thing, and it's just stupid. And so let me see if, I said, he goes, if you send that stuff, I don't think we have to have this meeting. And I said, I'll send it, I'm sending it, So he says, let me call Ashley and Clint. So I'm guessing, now again, you guys were on a separate email chain that I don't know what was going on, what was being said, okay? I'm getting things ready. Then I'm told the meeting's happening. Because if Clint backs down, then Matt's gonna request the meeting. So there's two people. What did I do? I still sent the stuff.
Well, I would like to clarify, Wednesday at 12:25, there was a text to me from you summarizing. Jim says the reason you were calling special meetings is because you hadn't gotten the receipts. He says if I provide everything I gave the auditors, then that would avoid the special meeting. Is this true? If so, I can get them all. So, and it goes on and then talks about some other things not pertinent to this conversation.
So can I ask a question?
Yep.
So the official first request of the receipts.
For the word receipts, yes.
For the
for-
receipts for the
for-
account, for the trip.
For the
For the
account,
trip.
accounting
For the
of.
account for the trip.
6307, just call it that.
6307.
Then we know what you're talking about.
Was that, what Friday last?
Last Friday,
21st.
Friday. And what day did they get the receipts?
Wednesday.
So.
3
that's
business
within
days.
5 days, right?
Yeah, 3 business days.
wasn't-
Never a FOIA.
It wasn't a
It
FOIA.
It wasn't a FOIA.
It doesn't matter, it wasn't.
Okay,
3
well,
business
then-
days.
Okay,
Here's the discussion. Read the emails in the text,
okay.
defiantly withholding documents
Well, I think all these
requested
people wanna
by.
know what are the truest particulars. The truest particulars is.
The truest particulars is he was requested,
and you-
denied, found out about a special meeting,
So,
and sent them.
okay, where did I say that I'm not sending these documents?
You just
So
didn't
you,
send them.
you ignored my first email.
3 days. I mean, Jim, is that normal? I mean,
Well-
5 days, listen, I mean, a normal is within 5 days. They got them in 3 days. Do you have your documents?
The documents
We
did
got
show
them.
up.
We got them. I mean, they're all fine. We got the documents. Why are we here? On a Friday night, 3
We
days
still
before
don't
the
have
election?
all the documents.
Political stunt,
We
that's why
say,
we're
we
here.
say in my FOIA that we do not have a listing of people that went on the trip. Says, Gabby Coon says,
It's not
we do not
township
have that
business.
information.
What date was
from
that?
Gabby.
What date was that?
Okay, so
That
let me,
was February the 3rd. You never
February 15th.
responded
I've got some answers for
with
you,
anything.
Brad. Upon receiving the documents, if
Yeah.
you don't mind, let me just
Keep moving.
try and keep this moving a little bit. It was a township-owned bank account.
Absolutely.
Therefore, there's a legal obligation to provide information on that account, verified with our attorney. You can go reference Illinois, I don't know, I have it here.
That's fine.
It's the law.
Yeah, it's the law.
And that's why
My-
your
my
stuff
opi-
has to be released.
My opinion insufficient record keeping of said cash, of said account.
We are not talking about the receipts, we are talking about the failure to release the records. We're not.
And I'm talking about my determinations after receiving the records.
No,
Yes.
but that's
Yes.
not on the agenda.
Yes, it can be.
Mr. Attorney.
You gotta stick to the,
Well, I'm sticking to it.
No, it's not. It says discussion regarding the failure to release records for the FCB Senior Center.
Okay.
This is not about the
It's fine,
receipts.
it's typed in my motion then too. So, I mean, you can hear it now or you can hear it later.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so lack of formal ledgers,
But
sloppy at best.
Listen, I'm gonna,
I mean,
this is not on the agenda.
sure it is. This is 100% in regards to.
I'll let the
It- it can-
attorney
documents
answer.
that
I'll
we
let
find.
the,
Okay, so what you're telling me is that
maybe,
just because you sent the documents, we can't talk about what's in the documents? Is that what you're telling me?
maybe it would be better appropriately addressed, because it is referenced in the motion to censure.
Okay.
When we get to that.
It's semantics here.
I know.
Always
The-
semantics.
I know.
The rules
You want me to
regarding
follow
special
Robert's
meetings are very,
rules of
very
order?
strict. It's, you know.
I got you.
Splitting hairs because you got nothing
All
else
right.
to campaign on.
I don't know where we're at.
We're doing the conversation.
At some point in here, Derek referenced an email thread with Clint, Jim, and myself, wherein the discussion of censure was brought up regarding the failure to release the records.
And then I have an email directly from the CPA from Monday, if you want to read those into the minutes for me, please.
is this regarding the failure to
The
release
emergency
the records?
audit that was conducted.
This isn't about the
You've
release.
referenced the emergency.
This is not, discussion regarding the failure to release the records for the FCB Senior Center Trip Fund account, okay? And so if you're questioning our auditor, all right, that has nothing to do with the failure to release the records, all right? And I also don't think that our official auditor, that our
Don't you want the
auditor,
public to have the transparent
I believe in
information?
Robert's Rules of Order. I believe
Just
that
answer my
I'm
question.
going by this
Clear this all
agenda.
up, we can clear it all up before this meeting is but I see we're not.
No, you guys want to show, so I'm following the Robert's Rules of Order, so don't get out of hand. You call the police here and everything, we're following the rules.
I'll let the attorney make the decision if he feels like it's in relation to the action item. I called the meeting. He can be more transparent than that.
I would say that there is a question in here. One of the questions that it's asked is it standard procedure for trustees to be unaware of this account and have yet to receive any receipt statements or any other information pertaining to this account, which is relevant. Oh, there's a response here. It's front and back. Let me read the response. He seemed to not answer that question directly. So,
He's an attorney, that's what you guys do.
so I will say, you did ask him, is it standard procedure for trustees to be unaware of this account and have yet to receive any receipt statements or any other information pertaining to this account?
Okay.
He more or less said, I don't know.
All right, so got the documents on the Wednesday. You've had the documents, and we'll move on to new business. And that is vote to censure a public official.
Are we done with that discussion?
I was gonna say,
I mean, just because you guys commanded that, are we done as far as?
Well, I mean, this is regarding the failure to release records for the FCB
I mean, I
Senior
know I
Center.
have quite a bit still to talk about that, so.
Well, then,
Who wants to go?
take the floor. Right, but make sure that it is on this
I got you, buddy.
6307.
I got you. So here are,
No slideshow? Damn, I love the slideshows. Oh, there's no request for receipts.
It's just the FOIA information.
Whatever. Gives you the idea.
letter of response from SA. So since I requested these FOIAs, let me start there. I was made aware of a trip and continuing conversations around the trip that we used township employees at township cost for a non-township sanctioned event. The employees were not paid overtime. The selection process was.
This is not about the failure to release records.
It is.
No, it's,
100% is.
you're talking about using township employees.
I'm getting- that's-
No,
that's
it's not
leading
about
to
getting
these
to it.
records.
It is about,
No slideshow today.
to stick to the agenda. Help. This is, it's very important. It's not a regular meeting. This is a special meeting.
If we
It's
can
different
get to the
rules.
relation to the account, that's what's on the.
It has to be this.
So, I mean, it goes to the FOIA delays. I mean, it's a timeline here is what I'm talking about,
We
right?
already went through the timeline.
I'm gonna go through my timeline. There are pieces to my timeline that your claims or assertions that, you know, I accused you of anything is pertinent to this conversation, and it's here bedded in the timeline.
Go ahead, but it's okay. Right. I want to make sure we stick by this.
Go ahead, Matt.
So the initial FOIA response that we got, I'm not gonna belabor those, right? We know that the first one was the 3rd, then the 10th. I received a request from Jim, and I knew in the beginning, it was a very wide breadth, right? And even from the very beginning, Jim and I agreed that I'm still not even sure what I was looking for at that point, right? I wanted to make sure that our 21 bank accounts, which is a lot of bank accounts, right? I mean, when I take a look at, we have 21 bank accounts. Why do we have that many? That's why I wanted to get involved. Most people can't manage one bank account, let alone 21.
All right.
What I will say, it's relevant. What I will say is that the accounting and bookkeeping of all of the original accounts that Jim provided a listing of, the FOIA officer providing a listing of. Pass them around. You guys have them on. There was not record keeping for. There was not statements of account. They're in the office binders. As part of that auditing process, they stapled the checks to those statements. They staple receipts to those statements and then file those. So when I went in to look for this specific account, that account was not there. There was no accounting. There is no binder for that account. However, it shares the same EIN, which is just like your social security number. We cannot share a social security number or a federal tax ID with a township entity and a non-for-profit. Can't do it. It's illegal.
That's not what the auditor said, because he said you kept screaming to him on the phone, and he says, you don't know what you're talking about.
I was screaming, right? So once I got that accounting, there were checks written to cash.
Okay, this is what date?
There were checks written to cash.
Correct.
Which I had no idea what they were. Didn't start to investigate what they were.
This
I
is
called
failure
township,
to
I called our
release the
governing
records.
body and got direction from our governing body, township officials of Illinois. I spoke to them 2 different times. The first time I explained that I was still waiting for receipts. Their initial response to me was to forward this to the SA immediately. With just what they saw. That was their direction to me. Matt didn't make a decision to forward this to the state's attorney. I was directed to do so. I delayed that even another day, 2 days, and sent another escalation email explaining, this is what I need. I need it by the end of this week, or I'm going to escalate outside of this forum.
What email are you talking about?
March, it's the one that I was included on, so you're talking about
Correct.
March
There were
8th.
2. There was one the night before, asking Jim and Derek, thanking Jim for the.
Right. And in that email, where did you say that you need receipts?
Look in your packet. So Jim, I had already talked to the FOIA officer.
We just went through it. There's nothing
There
in
is
there.
a text message in there from Jim, to Jim.
Oh,
What
to
does he
Jim.
still owe you?
That's not me.
He's the FOIA officer.
But that's not relayed to me.
How?
Jim, I mean, I'm just telling you, Matt, that's not relayed to me. You're
So
getting mad.
the checks for cash were brought to my attention through these statements. That drew my attention to, I don't know what this is. I'm going to reach out to my governing body and ask them what I need to do. I took direction from them, and the letter to the state's attorney is just that. I've provided copies to all of them. I'm happy to send it to anybody. Folks have already stopped me and asked me, and I've showed that to them. I've offered that since the meeting.
Now, you
right?
never gave that to me. Have you?
But
No, you didn't.
because it was ongoing, right? And that's why I didn't give it, because it was ongoing. I had not, I delivered that packet
So
to
you
the
gave it to
state's.
everybody in the
I
public, but not me.
delivered the packet to the state's attorney on the 10th, Monday the 10th. I did not hear from them again until the 21st. At no time did I call the state's attorney's office to ask what the status was. At no time did I call and ask why no one had looked at it. I understand that the state's attorney's office is busy. When you read the letter, it is a mere ask for direction. They responded to that direction, that request for direction. Brian Bergerman, the comms director, sent me a message that states that the state's attorney's office does not investigate themselves. But should I feel like there is a reason to investigate further, then I should pursue that with local law enforcement. I then talked to my trustees and asked them what their thought was to have this meeting to determine whether or not it needs to go any further. Matt didn't just take this now to local law enforcement. Matt's taking the direction that he received.
Because it's related to that account, the record of that account. The complaint that he made to the state's attorney was related to failure to release the records related to that account.
100%. That's the only reason why I did that. And again, twice, I called back to the TOI and explained it to them. Does this really need to go over? Absolutely. So the elapsed time on my FOIAs that are incomplete is 40 days on the Diamond Tours and 31 business days on the bank accounts, right? We're still waiting for signature cards. We're still waiting for a list of folks that went on the original trip. And in my email, I was specific to say, I don't need any PII. I just need a name and where they're from. If they're from the Collinsville Township or they're from any other surrounding township.
I responded to that. We denied that request because Gabby said the information.
They don't have a list.
They didn't have a list.
So you
That's
did
what
get
was said.
everything.
So how are we refunding
Just
people's
because you were
money?
died-
How are we refunding people's money without a list?
No, this is a different trip.
Yeah.
See, you didn't understand
Two
that.
different
There's 2 different trips. Yes, 2 different trips. The Savannah one, then the Branson one that they wanted to do on the side, okay? They were paying a deposit, it's all in the thing. They were paying a deposit and they were starting to have cancellations. So they said, hey.
Who's they?
The trip goers,
Who's managing all this?
Gabby and Kelly.
So our township
It's,
employees.
you didn't look at the receipts, I guess.
So our township employees.
Right, and so.
We're paying them to manage this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, just like we do in the Volkswagen, and we run it all.
Let's get back to
Right, there you go.
6307
Right.
account
So
records.
you've gotten every single thing that you've ever asked from, and if you didn't, there's something, and it's a breakdown of communication between Jim and I. I've always tried to give everything that I ask from. He's the FOIA officer. It doesn't come to me. He really, the way it's supposed to. It shouldn't.
But it does.
Then-
It
and
shouldn't.
it
But I
does.
asked the FOIA officer
You-
for the receipts.
Well, then I didn't get that. If there's a word that says, I want to see the receipts,
It's
there's no
it's
proof.
semantics there.
No proof.
Can you submit any bill without a receipt? Dude, that's what we're here for.
Bill, there is no bills. That's what I'm trying to say is these folks, this is their money. This is not the township's money.
But
You
we're
can't
managing
figure
it,
that out.
right? We're managing
No,
it.
you're not managing it.
You are managing.
You're not managing it.
Yeah,
Right?
no.
He's not, we're not.
Our tax money is managing.
Oh,
Our resources are managing it.
Listen,
Absolutely.
every ordinance.
It's an empty bowl.
So I'm asking you this.
Township owns the account.
Let me ask you
It's
this.
not a matter of opinion,
Hold on,
it's a
hold on.
matter of fact, Brad.
I got off track too.
The
I got off
township
track too.
owns the account.
I got off track too. Failure to release the records for the FCB Senior Center trip account. What I'm saying is, it was asked on Friday for the first time from trustee Ball. We got them to him on Wednesday. We're here. This is simple. You have the receipts, okay? Any other FOIAs that you're saying that you don't have, I don't know about.
Signature cards, I don't
Okay.
have, yeah.
Listen, those other emails, I looked at the signature
have
card the other
one
day.
signature card.
That comes from the bank. If I
It didn't
don't,
come redacted from the.
let me ask the FOIA officer on this one, just to make sure, all right? Because I'm not aware of all the FOIA laws, all right?
Why not?
If we don't, because I'm not the FOIA officer. That's why, okay? So, what I'm saying is that, lost track here, a little bit. On the FOIA, okay, on the FOIA, if we don't have something, then that is not our duty to go find it. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. Can I just talk about that
Yes,
for just a
yeah,
second?
yeah.
So, and I wanted to take this opportunity, as he said is correct. We have, if you look on our township website, we have 4 FOIA officers. I'm the primary FOIA officer, also Tara Compton in our office is a FOIA officer. Pam Mumper is a FOIA officer in the assessor's office, and Jennifer Keller down at the Road and Bridge. We are all trained, we are all very knowledgeable about the law regarding FOIA. If you want to submit a request for information, you need to send it to one of the 4 of us. If you send it to Derek, it may get to me and it may not get to me, and I'm not blaming him, that's not his fault. You need to submit it to me, to Tara, to Pam, or to Jennifer, and then it will get handled.
Where is that process?
It's on our website. And it is a process, and the law states that for the most part, we are supposed to comply within 5 days, which does not always happen, especially when a 10-week period or an 8-week period, you get 24 FOIAs. So it is a process, and in many cases, we will, as Derek said, and it's happened already this year, if a document does not exist, it is not our job to create a document. We're basically here to supply stuff that's already out there. Sometimes some of these requests are quite burdensome. I have one now I'm probably gonna deny because, again, it would take months to complete the FOIA, and that's just not reasonable.
Right.
And by law, we are allowed to deny those. We're allowed to deny them.
But you didn't deny mine, right? Because you didn't.
No, I didn't.
It was
And-
burdensome. Why didn't you?
No, your initial FOIA was very burdensome. I got you what I could within a reasonable period of time and asked you for clarification so we could kind of narrow.
And we did.
And we did, because I really had no idea what you were looking
Me
for.
neither.
And you didn't either. And so, I mean, I'm trying to resolve, as far as I'm concerned, that FOIA is closed. That's
That's
my
what
way of
I
looking
thought.
at it.
I didn't
Because
know anything.
Unless we come to some agreement about what you
There were
really
no
want.
signature cards with business rules is what I was looking at.
I can't say that I really specifically heard you say that. I'd have to go back and
It's
read
in-
all
it's
the
in-
emails.
What I'm
I'd
s-
have to go back and read it. But the point is, on the FOIAs, run them through me.
That's why I
And
sent
that
you.
we will move it along and handle it as quickly as possible. And one last thing, in regards to this specific one, I now have 2 FOIAs for this same information that Clint has asked for, which I told Bill and I told Derek. And he did supply the information on Wednesday night, just like he said he did. The only problem I have is that now he is, and as he alluded to that, he redacted some information from what was supplied to me, which we can't do. If I were to send that to the FOIA requesters, that would be a partial denial. When we deny a request or partially deny a request, that requester then has the option of going to the public access counselor, which is a part of the Illinois Attorney General, to have it reviewed, which we really don't want to happen. If we can supply the information, we will supply the information. If the information doesn't exist, we'll deny it, and there's nothing to be done because it doesn't exist. But in this case, so now I'm still waiting for an unredacted version
Yes, and
of the information, and I knew you were gonna send it.
I hope she has it. I mean, because the only thing that I'm saying, the only thing that was redacted was the director's address in there and the names, the full names. It was their first names, but it was their last names that was redacted, that she did that, and she was here, she could tell you that, so I'm just saying that
No, I know.
it's not me.
And I talked to her, and people's names are not redactable. People's phone numbers are redactable, their email addresses are redactable, their addresses are redactable, but their name. I'm Jim Achenbach.
There's nothing of it.
That's not any private, everybody knows that.
But just to say, to make, to clear up anything, it's not anything of, oh, they redacted something, what is that? It's just it's their last name. I was just trying to stop it from getting on the internet. That's it.
Right.
That's
Thank you.
all.
Thank you.
So,
That's it.
Right.
But it's still unlawful.
Oh, unlawful, okay. And then on the signature card, I sent you that, that's what the bank sent me, and that's what we do. If it's a FOIA, and my thought is, I was getting you what they sent me, that's what I sent. So that's it.
So I do have something that I did that's relatable to 6307. You want to look at the second page of this business. I believe it's relatable and it's a positive, so.
We're all gonna fall asleep.
I mean, I think it's a good news story, and I think it's a direction that we can move to that would be beneficial to the township.
What am I looking at?
Second page, meeting with Jarvis.
Oh,
Jarvis Township. So essentially, what it is that he's proposing, you have the senior council or whatever here, right, manage these trips.
Proposing some lessons, and that we adopt some lessons learned from other townships to improve our position in this.
It would basically be run by a senior council.
That's fine, but that has nothing to do with what's on the agenda for the 10th time. So, right. All right, can we move on to slap me or whatever?
Is everybody
you guys
done with
wanna do?
discussion?
Right.
Ashley, are you done?
Yeah, I just have a statement that goes along with the next item.
Statement with the next item, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so on to my censure. And what is a censure, just by the way? Is it like
That's what I was gonna ask Bill to explain as well.
Yeah, and I think during public comments, someone had brought this up too. And in the email thread, Clint had brought it up initially, and I said, basically, let me look into it, because I was aware at some point in the past that some forms of sanctions basically aren't allowed. There was a Supreme Court case a couple years ago, though, the U.S. Supreme Court case that said things that are basically symbolic reprimand and referred specifically to censures in that manner are allowed. So essentially, it's a symbolic reprimand of disapproval from a governing body towards one of its members.
So it's just a symbol, and again, we're 3 days away from an election, so just keep that in mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I wrote one out here. It's a motion to censure for conduct on becoming a supervisor. And I'll read it. It was reviewed, so nothing, So Derek Cox has been in a position of authority as supervisor for Collinsville Township, for the Collinsville Township. Supervisor Cox has exhibited conduct that violates standards expected of someone in such a role, including but not limited to defiantly withholding financial documents to support transactions of a township-owned bank account. Continued to withhold even after advisement to provide by township attorney. The supervisor is legally obligated to provide such documents. You can refer to 60 ILCS 1/65-5, see Chapter 3, General Responsibilities, Section L. That's the law that Mr. Boker referenced earlier. And failure to cooperate and support the FOIA process and transparency policy of the township. This conduct is deemed unbecoming of a supervisor and detrimental to the function of the team and organization as a whole. Supervisor Cox has been given opportunities to rectify their behavior, but has failed to make adequate improvements despite repeated warnings or attempts to address the issues. Actions of Supervisor Cox have caused a negative impact on the morale, productivity, and work environment of the team. And it is important to maintain the integrity of leadership and professional standards expected of those in supervisory roles within this organization. The Collinsville Township Board does hereby formally censure Supervisor Derek Cox for his conduct on becoming of a supervisor. This censure serves as an official record of disapproval of the behavior exhibited by Supervisor Derek Cox. Motion to censure brought forward by Clint Ball, March 28, 2025.
Okay, so, so you make the motion. Is there a second?
I'll read my statement.
No, I'm asking if there's a motion on the floor. He just motioned, and it says motion by Clinton Ball.
Okay,
So,
motion, second.
okay, then we'll discuss his motion. Okay, we're gonna follow Robert's rules.
Sure.
So, I'd like to know defiantly holding financial documents to support the transactions of the township bank account. The last hour and a half, we've all heard, there was not a single request, like you said on Facebook, that we've been asking for these receipts since January the 3rd and all this. No. The first time I was requested was last Friday. I responded, I saw the email on Monday, and you got it on Wednesday. That's why we're here. This is a joke. This is a joke.
We wouldn't be here
Okay.
if you would have just gave us
I
the...
did send it, and Jim even tried to call the meeting, and you guys still wanted to go ahead and waste all these folks' time and create the dissension in this community. It is sad. And so I can go through each one, and if you can provide evidence where you asked me, or I'm sorry, the board asked me, there's not, you're correct. I did take 2 days. I did take from Monday to Wednesday to get you the stuff. I'm sorry, okay? But do you think that deserves the headline that she's gonna write, Derek Cox was censured by the board 3 days before the election? That isn't fair.
You're more worried
That's
about
what
a
goes
headline.
on everywhere else. It takes everything that we've done for 4 years, 3 days before. So that's, hey, so that's my
So that's your
defense.
comment.
That's my defense. We'll let the voters decide who, like, they're the jury, all right? You're not the jury. This board isn't the jury. The voters are gonna be the jury on Tuesday. All right, so let's, we got a motion. Do we have a second? Roll call.
we have opportunity for discussion.
Oh, I thought that was, oh, sorry.
It's not just you.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to begin by stating that all of this could have been avoided. We have been asking for documents requested starting months ago, and I've seen text messages, I've seen multiple documents dated back beginning of March and February of documents. But that's, hopefully all of this could be resolved. It could have been resolved, but that's not what happened. I also want to reiterate that trustees provided all of the documentation, statements, images of checks, email and text correspondence, etc., to leaderships within the township officials of Illinois, our governing body. It was through their recommendation that the trustees needed to take appropriate actions necessary to investigate further. Again, we are following the guidance of the leaders of our governing body. When I stepped into this role, I did so fully aware that our current township supervisor did not have previous experience in management, employee supervision, and generally
What does this have to do with anything?
codes of conduct. It comes with the censorship. I came in hopeful that this lack of experience would be met with a strong willingness to learn and grow into the position. Unfortunately, I have been deeply disappointed, not by what was unknown at the start, but the minimal effort.
How about Robert's rules, buddy?
Yes.
Robert's rules.
I came in hopeful that this lack of experience would be met with a strong willingness to learn and grow in the position. Unfortunately, I have been deeply disappointed, not by what was unknown at the start, but by the minimal effort made to seek out training, attend relevant seminars, or connect with neighboring township to understand their processes and procedures, like the senior trips. Instead, the focus has been on the fun and performative aspects of the role rather than the critical administrative and leadership responsibilities it requires, as in missed deadlines and missed funding opportunities. Just today, for example, rather than notifying trustees about significant financial changes, such as the movement of township accounts into different money market funds, we were left in the dark while the supervisor participated in karaoke, and we were fielding community complaints about electioneering activities. This is not how a functioning township should operate. I also want to express my own disappointment in myself, where I put too much faith in the system's checks and balances that I believe would prevent this kind of dysfunction. The truth is, no other township board or unit of government allowed this to operate in this way, or allowed to operate in this way, because no other legal counsel would have permitted any of this to happen. The public character attacks online and in person towards sitting board members are unacceptable. The handling of FOIA requests by the supervisor has been careless at best, and the lack for support for legitimate HR concerns has left staff and trustees vulnerable and unsupported. All of this could have been avoided. The breakdown in communication is clear, and it is because of the absence of those necessary guardrails, ethical, legal, and procedural, that this board had no choice but to call a special meeting to restore accountability ourselves. This is not good government. This is not what good governance looks like. Our residents deserve better. Our employees deserve better. And this board deserves to operate within a structure that upholds the integrity of the offices that we were elected to serve. Thank you.
So campaign speech?
Well, of course.
No, she's not running.
Not even running.
I'm good. Or can we vote?
I'm good.
Brad, what's up?
I was just gonna say.
Brad, you want to say anything?
No,
All right, gotcha.
I'm gonna say that again in a second.
Okay, all right, so I guess we'll vote on Paul's motion.
Okay. Trustee Sewell?
No.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Oh, yes, no, sorry.
Can't you rely on that?
Yes, retract that, right.
Voting no or abstaining?
I'm voting, no. Okay. So we're almost done here. Since the, vote to censure a public official, well, I have my own censure. I'd like to censure Collinsville Township, public censure,
Not
trustee.
on the agenda.
Nope.
It's a,
No.
hold on, let me just ask. Oh, stop.
On the agenda.
No, let's ask the attorney.
It is not on the agenda.
The agenda says vote to censure a public official.
Right, okay. Hey,
So I want to say when this meeting agenda was approved by you, it was very specific on what we would be discussing, correct?
listen, this is the
When we send you
agenda.
a board meeting agenda.
They don't like it when they have to play by their own rules.
Right.
Right, so,
Accountability.
right?
What about transparency?
Okay. It's not going anywhere because these three are together, but it shall be stated, when I went down to do the thing,
What thing?
trustee,
Went down to do what
when I
thing?
went down to the bank I was notified, all right? So this is the censure, Collinsville Township public censure to trustee Matt Gunther for sharing Collinsville Township banking information on social media. This includes all bank accounts and the balance amounts that has caused Collinsville Township taxpayers' funds to be at higher risk of fraudulent activity. That is from the FCB bank and the president that I've met with 3 times that say, Diane Riley, and listen, this is the censure. I make a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, roll call.
What are we censoring?
I just read it. You shared all of our bank account information with the
Public information.
Yes, on social media with the last 4 numbers. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Then vote no. Then vote no. So roll call. If you think that's okay, but mine's so bad, but if you think that's okay, we're in la-la land. We are in la-la land.
Correct?
So, no, it's not.
It was provided by him through FOIA.
You don't share it on the bot. You do not share that to the world to see. No, listen, that's not what I was told. I have a motion. We have a second. Roll call. Go ahead. You ready? Roll call.
Get a legal opinion on that?
Roll call.
Yeah, you're supposed to be protecting the township, so what's the?
Well, doesn't trustee Genther have a chance to defend himself?
He says that he did. He said he should have done it.
No, you're calling for a roll call.
Right. Anyway.
Is there one you can give us? That's all.
I don't have a legal opinion on
Sharing
taxpayer
banking
funds being placed at higher risk of fraudulent activity.
He doesn't know. Right. And so what I was told when I was down there, that the last digits, not all the digits, okay, are shared with all of the amounts, all 21 accounts, and she says you are at much higher risk of fraud now because these scammers, they get on there and they picked out, I don't know how it works, but I was told that I have to change the way we're doing stuff. All right?
Do you have a letter from?
You didn't have what you got it right. You have nothing.
I
You
got
have
everything
absolutely
for you, buddy.
nothing.
I got everything.
So, anyway, no, you don't. You would have showed it.
What do you want?
So, anyway, roll call.
You ready?
Let's get out of here.
Right, go ahead.
Trustee Stewart? Stewart?
No.
Ball? Gunther?
No.
Sewell? Yes. Cox?
Yes. All right, motion fails. So we're all done.
Public's done.
Y'all have a good rest of the weekend.
Thank you, guys. You guys.
Motion to adjourn. All right, second, all in favor? Aye.
That was a complete waste of everybody's time.
You know who to thank.
Just stay home.
Hey, you said that this has caused you guys any issues? Because I think you guys be the
He wouldn't let me talk about that.
You already had it.
There was no indication. God only, he was the only one who knew.
How about them little girls anyway?
He was the only one who knew the account. So nobody else could know where the money was. Oh, yeah, sure thing, Don. Yeah. Go teach some more.
Like to see you with Tom. Everybody's up for like. Everybody's up for I really didn't realize when I got the work you need to do. I tried to talk him out. Hell, I know he's already out there. I don't
You said, why did I bring this up? And I said, we cannot all come together behind closed doors. You did not say Derek and I.
You're laughing as much as you do.
Yeah, I know. Complete waste of time. Complete waste of time. Absolutely nothing.
No, that you're fine.
Wasted everyone's time. Yeah. For political reasons.